Alright, how's it going everybody? Thomas here with Read, Review, Recommend, and today we have another book review. We will be going over Beyond the Spiderwick Chronicles, Book 2, A Giant Problem. The overall plot on this one involves all three of our new characters. We have Jules, Nick, and Lori, but we also add in Sydney. And this is their journey of how they figure out how to get the giants to go away kind of on their own, because Jared, Simon, and Mallory all are not going to really be there to help them out through this book. So this is one that they're going to have to do on their own. It does start out right off the bat with Nick and Lori lying to their parents about who old man Nick was so that they can go giant training with him so that they can figure out how to fight against the giants. It right off the bat kind of shows a little bit more of who Lori is at the beginning. You still get the same version of Nick. He's still upset, still angry, but a little bit more willing to do this, but he still thinks it's silly, and he knows in the back of his head, like, this is a blind old man, what's he really going to be able to teach us about giants? But you do get a good amount of like feel of kind of who Lori is. But this was one of the slower books. Not bad in any ways. You get a lot of emotional, a lot of character development, but it is slower than the first one. So for the overall plot of this one, I did think the plot was very good. I'm going to give the plot an 8 out of 10, but the opening I'm going to give a 7 out of 10, because like I said, you do get a little bit more character development in the beginning, but not as much as you do throughout the whole book. You get a lot through this second book, a whole lot through the second book, as far as like all of the characters. You get a lot from Sydney, you get a lot from Jules, you continue to get more from Lori and from Nick, but you also get some from the parents, which is a pretty interesting development. So the world building on this one, you do get to see a lot more of kind of how the giants are affecting everything. You get to learn a little bit more about why they're coming back, what their purpose is, even if it's not really towards the end of the book that you learn their real reason. But you do get to learn a lot more. You get to learn about kind of the mermaids and how the world's kind of interacting together and everything's evolving, and you get to see this magic system kind of working together and how all these creatures kind of have their own way in life. So the world building, I did really like this one. I feel like it was a pretty good jump up from the whole entire first series, but these first two books have been pretty good on the world building. They've really kind of expanded and shown more what the creatures could be in this world, and the giants are very, very interesting. And getting to the pacing, like I did say, this one was slower, but there was a lot more character development and world building in this one, but the pacing was pretty slow on this one. It's not necessarily in a bad way, but it was less page turning, less gripping, but I feel like there was a lot of necessary things in this one that you didn't get through the first series that was missing. So I don't think this was bad on the pacing. So I'm going to give the pacing an 8 out of 10. But it definitely just didn't have the same speed from arc to arc that the first book had. This one was a lot more diving into the feelings of the characters and the interactions between the four and kind of giving each one of them their feelings, and there's a lot more of arguments between the parents and kind of showing how the kids feel and interact with their parents. It definitely does give you a lot more on that. So getting the number 5, the characters, this I'm giving a 10 out of 10. The characters on this one were a 10 out of 10. It was so good. You got so much depth from each of the characters. You get to see more about kind of Lori is very much okay with lying because she's scarred and damaged from her childhood, and it's kind of her way to tell stories and have people accept her. And that's kind of how she learned growing up, and nobody's really been there to call her out until Nick came in in her life. And in this one, you get to see exactly, even in bitter times when it doesn't seem like on the outside and how he's acting, that Nick is really a loyal person. But when it comes down to it, he's the most loyal out of probably the whole entire pack. He's there. He's always trying to figure out the problem, always trying to be the brain of the operation and make sure that everybody gets out safe. When anybody does get into kind of like trouble or anything, he goes to the end, to the ninth degree, to make sure that they're safe. You get to see kind of how Jules is that all bronze, all courage, willing to throw himself into the fire before really thinking about what the outcome could be. And he's really that hero type character for this book, and you really get to see that. And his relationship with Cindy is kind of put to the side in this one, not so much in a bad way, but you get to see their growth as each individuals, because you get to see Cindy in a part where there's a good chapter or two where Jules isn't in it, but she is, and kind of how she interacts with the younger two even when Jules isn't around, like she's almost part of the family already. And that part was really cool. With the parents, you get to see a little bit more from their good side, their arguments, to their bad side, to them going to counseling, to kind of just how they're dealing with everything falling apart around them, and everything is falling apart around them. So the writing on this one, I also have to give a 9 out of 10. Just with how well they did with keeping the pacing good, even with slowing everything down, in order to build up this long deposition of character dump. It was so well done that it was still very easy and very quick to read through, and it really kind of showed their expertise when it comes to their writing style and what they're able to do with this series. This, like I said in the first one, it really is kind of a jump up to, I would say, a middle school level reading. They're still very quick reads. They're not very long. All of them are under 200 pages. But the depth and the richness of the characters that you get out of these three are so much more than the first series of the Spiderwick Chronicles. You can definitely tell how they took everything that they learned and incorporated it back into these books. And if the first 5 books were in an elementary type level, I would definitely say this is middle school to maybe even a young high school. But the writing is so good, so good for the targeted age that they're reaching for. That's why I have to give it a 9 out of 10, because I really do think that they knew exactly what they were doing and they learned so much from the first 5 books. And the power system in this one, once again, it's not so much their strong suit. They really show a lot of the magic and the world building, and not so much of it in an actual power system dynamic. So there's not really much to speak on. I'm going to keep giving it that 7 out of 10 that I give it in most of them, because it is there. They do show it a lot in the world building. They do show it a lot in kind of the fairies and everything that comes to life and how they do their thing. But kind of with how they led this book to the end and kind of how they led everything off, I think that we're going to get a lot more of that magic system in this final book. I think we're going to get some crazy things, and there's an extra like 40 pages in the last book. I think it's going to be a really big payoff, and I think that's a big reason why this one was kind of slowed down, so they could build everything up, get you invested into these characters, build the story around, put some twists in there, make you have some little bit of mystery going into this last one, and then they're going to give you a big payoff. And it really, really, really gives you that sense whenever you get to the ending of this one. The ending, I have to give a 10 out of 10 because the last 2-3 chapters really are just this roller coaster ride of emotions and action, and even whenever everything's going good, it shows how like their lies kind of made it bad with their parents because their parents still don't really know what's going on. So they're doing all this stuff, everything's falling down around them, giants are coming up, destroying everything. And although they're saving the world, all their parents know is that, hey, our teenagers are staying out all night, you know, they're lying to us, they're stealing our car. They don't understand that all these things have been done to save the world. And at the end of it, you finally get to see Jared again, Mallory again, Simon again, and they throw another big twist in the book. And it is, the ending was just so well done. Like I said, this was almost like the perfect trailer leading into the last book, and I think they're going to pay it off so well. I already have the last book. I got all 3 of them from the library, so I'm so excited to go ahead and read this last one. And that leaves us with our all-in-all ranking for Beyond the Spiderwick Chronicles, Book 2, A Giant Problem. We are going to give this one an 8 out of 10. This one, like I said, perfect trailer leading into the last one. It's slower than the first one, but you get so much character development and growth in this one. You get so much of the story built up to a point where I think they had to do everything that they did in this one for the last book to be what it's going to be. And I'm really hoping that they pay it off. I really do think they are going to. I can almost predict at the end of the last one, we're going to see a lot more 9 out of 10s and 10 out of 10s on this board. And we're going to get a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 on the all in all. This is just a perfect book series for you to get for kids getting into the fantasy series. It gives them 8 full books to read, introducing them into the series. They're all paced incredibly well. All of them aren't too complex with the wording, so they'll all be easy for your young readers to get through. It's a great one to put in your classrooms if you're a teacher. This is one of the better places to start for your fantasy reads. So, once again, I'm in Thomas with Read, Review, Recommend. Thank you for coming and joining us on this review today. Y'all keep reading and have a good one. Later.